Hi, Collective. I'm Ancient, and I have a channeled message for you all. Now that you've met your Emperor and your Empress, you're probably like, okay, so now what? As I've stated time and time again, it's about mastering all the elements. And I feel like for some of you, this is someone from your past, or this is someone, your Emperor is someone from your past or your Empress, or there's someone brand new. Either way it go, I feel like I'm channeling both storylines, and I'm going to be channeling what the lesson was, because I feel like both of you have experienced significant trials and tribulations as it relates to love and just life in general. And so you built up your life's inventory, and this is why it's the right moment, the right time for both of you to meet. Now, this emperor, what he had to recognize, especially if this is someone that you dealt with and then they went through an evolutionary process, they've changed, they've grown since the last time you've seen them, spoke to them, and now they've come back as your emperor. I feel like this individual had a tough time dealing with insecurities and fears. Maybe this person, when they met you, what you did not know is that they fell madly in love with you. However, they had been dragged through the mud for so many years in the past in previous relationships that they were afraid that you were going to do the same thing. And then it took time for them to awaken and realize that you were different. And then they began to almost shoot themselves in the foot when they realized that you were their empress, like you are the real one. Um, and that it was their own fears, their own insecurities, um experiences that their own baggage essentially that they brought into the connection, and it put a damper on the relationship and caused chaos. So that's what this emperor is realizing. So they've learned to also not judge a book by its cover, that it takes time to get to know someone, and they've also mastered the element of the king of swords, because I feel like this person had a hard time communicating. They also had to master the King of Cups, because I feel like this person had a hard time wearing their heart on their sleeve only because of the experiences that they've gone through in relationships. So I see here that I feel with the devil in my mind's eye and the sun, it's like there's an epiphany here, an awakening that everything that they had been thinking you were, it was the complete opposite. That they were projecting that energy onto you, that you were actually showing them nothing but light. Um, you were being kind, you were genuine, you were honest. And it was like, it was almost, you know, from your point of view, you at one point thought you were going insane, because you're like, why is this person treating me like this when I'm just being kind to them? So that's what this person was experiencing. And I feel like this was one of the last, I won't say last, but this was one of those experiences that they needed to go through in order to evolve and elevate, in order to be in your life, to get to that emperor status. They had to go through these transformations. They had to experience um, some of these hardships so that they can transform and transmute the energy to embody the last two elements that they needed to embody, which is the King of Swords and the King of Cups. So for you, I feel like some of you, what you needed to master was patience and your ability to hold back. Because I feel like some of you would always be the one to take risk in relationships. Maybe you would be the one to call, you would be the one to text, you would be the one to reach out. And I feel like this time you allow the universe to do what it does. And I feel like even for this emperor, especially if this was someone from your past that you truly did love and you didn't understand why the relationship went south, I feel like you restrained yourself, or you pull yourself back from this person, and you said, you know what, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's meant to be with if it's meant for me to be with someone new, then so be it. So you mastered the energy of also the Queen of Pentacles, taking care of yourself, and also the Queen of Wands, or the King and Queen of Wands, where you're taking action and moving away from a situation. You also master the energy of Queen of Wands, because I feel like you were taking risk when you were dealing with that person, or just taking risk in general in your life, which is why those fire elements keep showing up. And so I feel like those were the two energies. And also the Queen of Swords as well, learning how to cut people off and speak truth to justice. And so I feel like you also mastered those energies, which needed to be ignited through the interaction with this emperor. Um, so those were the two last elements that you needed to go through in order to evolve to become the empress. So I hope this is making sense. Because I have spoken about this in, in the past about meeting people and them igniting awakenings in other people, for the sole purpose of mastering the element. So I feel like both of you got a chance to master your last element, in dealing with one another. And so that, therefore, now the blessings that you both get is that you're being brought to, uh, you're coming into union. You're allowed to meet. You're allowed to be with one another. Now, for some of you, you're saying, well, ancient, this is somebody that I've already dealt with from the past. So when you say I'm allowed to be with them, I was already with them. Well, no, I'm talking about from a spiritual standpoint. Um, because this person has actually gone through the evolutionary process and they've changed and they've transformed, they are allowed now to commune with you, to unite with you. At first this person was basically put in timeout, because they were not accepting, or this person was not acknowledging their own toxic traits, and so therefore they were not allowed to be in your life. And you was acknowledging that you deserve better, and so therefore you decided that you wanted to move forward, so you were going to get someone regardless. It was either going to be an old person or a new person. Some of you, you did get it, you did find a new person, or a new person found you. And so that is, their storyline is very similar too. Like I feel like this person had to go through some sort of evolutionary process in order to find you, but they had to master the energy of cutting people off. Because I feel like this new person that you've never dated, you may or may not know this already, but they have been, or they had just gotten out of a toxic relationship that I feel like they had spent way too much time in. And so they themselves had to also master the energy of letting go and cutting people off, which is the King and Queen of Swords. And so this person did that, and then they were able to be single and then find you, and you were able to find them. So, the fact that all three of these storylines, it relates to you guys having to master the King and Queen of Swords, that lets me know that, and I've seen this for many years, that people have a hard time speaking up. The throat chakra, I feel like, along with the heart chakra and the sacral chakra, in my mind, is those three element, or those three areas that people find challenging, because speaking your truth, like, and it also depends on what type of society you come from, because social reasons or societal reasons may, you may not be able to speak your mind. You may not be able to say everything you want to say because you might get censored or canceled. So there's a lot of throat chakra blockages for a lot of people on a day-to-day basis. But also some of you just never really grew up in a home where maybe you were allowed to communicate and or share your thoughts, so you always kept your emotions in. Also, for my masculine energies, some of you, based off of society, you never really was vulnerable or talked about emotions and things of that nature. So it depends, and this is what caused those blockages. So I feel like through those interactions and hardships, you both, all three of these storylines, you were able to transform and transmute that energy so that all three of you can elevate to the emperor, to the empress status. And now you two are coming into union. So I hope that helps bring some sort of clarity on what's happening or what has happened. So yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon.